Hello everyone. So in this video, I want to speak about the energetics for the rest of this month. There's a lot of meaningful transits. In particular, Pluto just went direct, Saturn just went direct. Next week, Mercury and Jupiter will go direct. There's a lot of strong Mars energy right now. All of these transits in many ways speak to new insight, new perspective, new movement, new direction, harvesting a lot of the work we've been doing over the past several months, and the potential to glean some deeper insight and clarity. So I want to speak to that. Before I jump into this, I just want to announce I'm going to be opening my next course to those who haven't been a part of my training program but who are already trained in EA. So I'll speak more about this at the end of this video. But I'm teaching part 3 of my training program, which is a chart interpretation course focused on transits and progressions. I've just been feeling, as I've been putting this content together, it's very rich, and I just feel to make this available for those who have been studying or practicing EA, evolutionary astrology, and feel that they would benefit from doing this work with me. I want to invite you to join. I want to make it possible to join in with our group. So I'll speak more to that at the end of this video. Let's jump in and look at the transits of this month. So we're just several days away from Mercury stationing direct. Today's Monday the 11th in the US, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so days from now, 6 or 7 days, Mercury stations direct. Just at that same time, Jupiter stations direct as well. Let's note a couple of themes here. This Mercury retrograde in Libra is becoming more aware, more wise, healing, and cultivating greater insight and perspective via what we have to learn and receive and share in our relationships. With Mars very involved, in particular, Mars being the lower octave of Pluto, so it's instigating a lot of evolutionary activity. It can feel very sensational. It can bring up a lot of content, but all of this is really pointing to the edge of our own evolutionary growth, where there are choices to make. There are conscious responses that we can engage from this point on along our soul journey that will further move us in the direction of either where we want to go or where we don't want to go. Right? So Mars is really, we have this opportunity to cultivate more wisdom and thoughtfulness in our responses. Mars being very active and moving towards Pluto, it's really saying the choices we're making now are to be considered with profound thoughtfulness. And over the past week or so, the content arising, both challenging and not challenging, the conversations, the dialogue, the triggers, all of this is very, very important to pay attention to. And to not just be responding from a reactive place. The fact that we're in this Mercury retrograde time has been saying there's a lot of learning that we're engaging in right now. This is not a time, hasn't been a time to be making these big life decisions, especially with all this Mars energy. It is a time to be cultivating more wisdom, more self-awareness. And, something Michelle shared recently about her insights on Mars. Mars is defense, Mars is protection, Mars is where we're needing to act for something. And very commonly, Mars is used in a way where we're defending our own freedom, we're fighting for something. But the higher understanding of Mars is to protect the natural state of the mind in its natural state being peaceful. And yet how easy it is with Mars to become excited and aggressive and defensive. But to use the energy of choice in a way that actually protects and orients us towards who we really are and the life that we want to live. So especially in Libra, Libra is about peace. Libra is about harmony. This is about protecting and nurturing a true sense of harmony. But harmony is a learning. Harmony is a thing that we become attuned to and sensitive to. It often takes a lot of thoughtfulness, a lot of being with, a lot of feeling into, so that we're not just reacting to circumstances. We're really seeking a higher understanding, a higher wisdom. And to me, this also really speaks to the deeper teachings of giving, the deeper teachings of sharing and inclusion and equality, which is the essence of Libra. How can we give and share and live in a way where we're actually encouraging and supporting us to feel loved and accepted as we are, and to feel really appreciated for who we are, and to give to each other in a way that demonstrates that? not in a way that is about people pleasing, but really genuine, authentic giving. So we're in harmony with ourselves, and thus we're receiving through the giving. There's a power in Libra when we come from an authentic way of giving and sharing that isn't bound by unconscious needs to be pleasing and approved of. So these are a lot of the themes that are opening up. It's like a lot of mastery, a lot of self-awareness. And I just invite everyone to think about, how have we been all learning these lessons in our life? Where has this been coming up for us in our own soul journey? And as we're continuing over this next week with Mercury ending its cycle in the retrograde and the Sun and Mars coming closer to a square to Pluto, it's like we're really going to be harvesting a lot of these teachings. This is a great time to ask more questions, to really note the places that feel tense or confusing or difficult or fearful. Note that we have Venus ruling all that Libra, just moving over the south node of Sag. That was a very important time, just the past several days, the past week or so. A lot of self-knowledge, a lot of truthfulness. If we're using these energies, if we're meeting the times in a way that is oriented towards non-reactivity, thoughtfulness, deep caring of honesty, but also a deep caring for freedom and truthfulness in our authenticity, in our authentic relating, then we can find ourselves feeling more spaciousness and freedom. That our life is like this open field. Venus in Sag has an underlying need to feel that life is an open field. And I'm going to walk, and I don't know who's going to show up. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what it's going to look like. We're not fixing our plan. We're not being opportunistic, right? Seeking every opportunity. We're living in an authentic and honest way, but we're also not needing to have a strong belief or conviction about what everything's supposed to be. So when we're honest and we're true to ourselves and in our relations, Venus in Sag really teaches this possibility of feeling very empty and free. That's one of the gifts that I feel this time can offer to us, especially over the next week. Now, Jupiter rules that Venus. So let's progress the chart a little forward into next week. So Mercury stations direct, Jupiter stations direct, and then Venus actually begins to move closer and closer into a sextile to Jupiter. So Sun squares Pluto, Mars moves to square Pluto. Right, so by the time we pass the Mars-Pluto square, we have Venus approaching Juno, Venus approaching its ruler to sextile Jupiter, also Venus approaching a square to Neptune. So the further we go, once Mercury stations direct, the more aspected Venus becomes. Basically through the end of October. Let's take a look here. Here we have at 26, Venus is squaring Neptune. And then on the 28th, it's sextile to Jupiter. And well before then, it would also be sextile to Mars. Let's take a look at that one, actually. Oh, no, wait. Sextile to Mercury, I mean. So, yeah, just as Mercury is stationing direct on the 18th, on the 17th, or just before the direct, on the 16th and 17th, Venus is sextile to that. And I guess it looks like much later in the month, Venus will sextile Mars actually once it enters Capricorn. So that's all the way into November. Anyway, a lot going on. And all these aspects to Venus, we got the sextile to Mercury, the sextile to Jupiter, both going direct. You see that? And Venus rules at Mercury and Jupiter rules at Venus. So there's just a lot of harmonious energy here for the next couple weeks to be gleaned, to be harvested. It's really wanting us to see what's happening in objective terms. And I think one of the teachings here is there's a lot of air energy, Libra, right? Aquarius, and then Venus, which is relational. But with Sag in the middle of it all, there's an opportunity for a lot of insight through self-reflection, self-honesty. I think something about Sagittarius and Jupiter is we have to not try to force a particular understanding, right? We can think we're supposed to, I'm going to invest my money in this cryptocurrency, and I had this really exciting dream or vision about it, or I watched this inspiring YouTube video. Don't just run and do these things. Ask your questions. Like, really take the time to connect with your intuition. Have the honest conversations that you need to have. And I think with that, there's the possibility for a lot of growth and expansion during this time. In our relationships and also financially, business-wise. It's about wise, thoughtful application of our inner and outer resources. So that feels very relevant and meaningful. And of course, Venus squaring Neptune in the midst of all of this has the opportunity to just reflect greater, to bring us to a deeper state of forgiveness and understanding that we can't control things in life. It's to look at our judgments, to look at where we're trying to make things other than what they are. I think this Neptune square is actually a very nice piece amongst all of these transits, because yes, it's a square, so there's a little bit of a tension in that. But Venus is the lower octave of Neptune, so this is all about bringing higher harmony, divine love into our relational sphere. Not seeing things according to the rose-colored glasses that we want to see things. Really wanting to understand what is it like to have a reference of unconditional love and acceptance in all things, and thus gaining deeper wisdom, deeper perspective, deeper insight as a result. So bringing in a lot of prayer, and I think also Venus and Sag, especially with Neptune involved, ceremony, getting outside in nature, working with our teachers, our plant allies, our spiritual teachers, our spiritual practices, applying the principles of the Tao, applying the principles that the teachers give us, listening to them. Venus and Sag, listening to the teachings, listening to the wisdom, opening ourselves to receive that. I think this is a great time to deepen in that path. And again, over this next week, we can almost feel something blossoming. You can actually feel a little anxious because of all the upcoming squares with the Sun, Mars, and then Mercury towards the rest of this month to Pluto. It can feel like, ooh, there's a lot of subconscious content that's uncomfortable here. So just be slow, be gentle with it. You know, the times, the cycles of life are always on our side. We simultaneously can't rush or force insight or revelation or insight, right? We can't move ourselves to be where we're not. But what we can do, and this is really the seed of our self-empowerment, is choose how we wish to be in relationship to the present moment. So this is a great segue to just speak a little bit about this upcoming course. It's Chart Interpretation Course Part 2, Transits and Progressions. And again, this is only for those that are practiced and studied in evolutionary astrology. I have no application on my website. It's not being publicized. So if you're interested, get in touch with me and we'll speak so that we can feel in it together to see if it's a good fit. But this is one of the core teachings. The only thing that we have true sovereign control over is how we are in relationship, how we're choosing to orient to what arises. And the deeper perspective that I hold is that everything is fundamentally for our benefit. While there is such a thing as harmonious or challenging or easy or not easy transits or experiences, at the core, there is no difference between them. Everything serves a purpose for our own evolutionary growth. And if we hold the attitude, if we hold the perspective that regards all things in life as an opportunity to deepen our own realization, to come more home to ourselves, then we fundamentally put our own sovereign being, our own inherent agency above all things. This is where we can courageously meet whatever's happening and use the tool of astrology to look objectively at the cycles that are a part of it. You know, the natal chart is the template for your entire soul journey. And then the transits and secondary progressions, while they're moving, you know what they're going to be, right? You can chart all of the transits and progressions from the moment of your birth for the next 100 years because these cycles are calculatable. They're fixed. We can determine them. So they're moving, they're ever transient, and yet they're a part of the template. They come with the program of this life. And so in that sense, they're a part of what we've come here for. And thus seeing it as absolutely relevant, absolutely perfect, and aligned with our own evolutionary growth. So in this course, I'm going to be teaching the transits from that perspective, and it's taught in 4 weeks. It's taught in 8 weeks. The first 4 weeks are instructional. All the teachings are pre-instructional videos that I'm creating now. We study them by ourselves. There are assignments, work you do by yourself or with partners. We'll have a form, and we'll meet once a week for Q&A and for practice. The final 4 weeks are devoted to live chart interpretation. I'm going to be modeling chart interpretation with a live volunteer. We'll meet every week prior to our live meeting with a volunteer to practice and review the chart together. So this will be an opportunity to really study these practices, work with our own charts, work in community, but also have a lot of direct experience in seeing, working with transits and progressions in the context of natal chart interpretation modeled. So there are more details that we can discuss. If you're feeling the calling to work with me, get in touch and we can talk about it. Part of what prompted me to make this more available, as I'm putting together the workbook, and the workbook right now, just the week 1 workbook is already 30 pages. It's going to exceed 30 pages. So I'm kind of surprised by the richness and the depth of the content that's coming through. And as I'm preparing this, I'm just remembering the holiness and the sacredness of working with transits in this way. We can take Mars. Mars is really active right now. So Mars is often regarded as accidents, volatility, confrontations. Be careful during a Mars transit. And you probably should be careful during a Mars transit, but let's frame this in a healthy way. Being careful is being full of care, being self-aware of our own responses, being self-aware of our own reactions. If we recognize the potential in Mars, that Mars is always the leading edge of our evolutionary growth. That's something Jeff Green taught. That Mars is always taking us to the next experience. And we're making choices that will always have consequences and bring us into reflection and awareness of how life is showing us what we're putting out there, right? Do I want to be going in this direction? Is this working? Is this useful? And there's something really profound. Mars is, it's a pretty fast-moving planet, but it's quite profound. If we're engaging Mars transits with a deep soul level state of awareness, it can be quite profound. And there's always a Mars transit. Mars is always moving somewhere in your chart. And very often, Mars will be aspecting planets in your own chart or making aspects to transiting planets, which means Mars would be very activated. But to engage Mars from a deeper soul level self-awareness is to understand that there's the past, there's the precedent. There is the way that I've made choices. There is the way that I've chosen to engage with life experience according to that which I've wanted. Right? Desire is basically what determines the choices we make. It points back to what it is that we're wanting fundamentally. But we really become deeply reflective. What do I really want most? What's most important for me? Okay, I feel this urge. I feel this reactivity. I feel this desire. I feel this sort of short-sighted, immediate gratification energy within Mars. And maybe that's the way that we may have been familiar with acting and moving in the world to some extent. But as we become more of a leader to our own soul journey, we really look at these Mars experiences and we ask ourselves, where do I really want to go? And so something we learn to do with Mars is actually to transmute this energy. We can't avoid this energy, right? It needs to be used some way, somehow. It's a matter of directing it in ways that are actually more relevant to our evolutionary growth. But it's not possible to do that unless there's a significant, adequate degree of self-awareness that would enable us to make new choices. So to think of a Mars transit in a way where we're pointing ourselves back to what is it that I truly want? As far as I'm concerned, that's the only way to be able to engage with the volatility of life experience and stimulation and meet it in a way that leads towards growth and not challenge or confrontation or violence. And of course, sometimes challenging things will happen or accidents will happen. And how do we meet that? How do we integrate these experiences in a way that ultimately will lead us to a deeper state of empowerment. So that's just one example of working with Mars in this way. I've been really enjoying writing all of this. I'm going to be enjoying, for the rest of this week, creating video content for the first week. This course opens up really soon. I begin next Sunday, and our first live Q&A will be on Q&A and review class will be on Saturday. Saturday the 23rd. So again, if you're feeling drawn to be a part of this, only if you already are practiced in EA, have been studying it for a while, have trained, or doing this work yourself perhaps, get in touch and we'll see if it's a good fit. All right, thank you for watching.